Hello, welcome to Mining Now. I'm your host, Jared Downey. This episode was filmed in May, so we have to do a quick intro because we interviewed E3 Lithium, their president, Chris Doornbos. And since May, though, they changed their name to E3 Lithium from E3 Metals Corp. So in the interview, you will see us referring to them as E3 Metals. It is now E3 Lithium. They're exchanging on the TSXV under ETL. So it's ETL on the TSXV, E3 Lithium. Another couple quick announcements, internal ones. We are doing our heavy industry tour. We're hitting South Africa, Latin America, Australia, the US and Canada, of course. And so anyway, we've got lots of dates coming up. We're going to be releasing those. We've got supporters and sponsors. It's going to be a ton of fun. If your company wants to be on, let us know. They'll just email us and we can set that up for you. Also, little thank you for all the supporters. We're doing a contest that the next 1,000 subscribers on YouTube will automatically enter to win a Makita drill set. So make sure to hit the subscribe button on YouTube and enter to win the set. With that said, let's get on with the interview with Chris.
Welcome to the show. It's great to have you on Building Energy.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me.
I want to, obviously we're going to talk about E3, but I want to talk a little bit about the environment we're, talking about in real time. Like, Ottawa is loosening the purse strings a little bit. There's all sorts of things going on in Eastern Europe and what's going on in the world. I think governments are starting to figure out we need some local resources. Can you touch a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think it's really good to see that the Canadian government is looking at it from the bottom up. A lot of incentives in the past have been based on the EV, so making them a bit cheaper by incentivizing the purchase of EV, and those are still in place, a lot of those policies. But what we're seeing now from the government is, I think, the right angle, which is funding projects like ours, funding the base critical minerals that are going into these cars and specifically into the batteries. Looking at the supply chain, one of the big challenges that the supply chain faces right now is the cost of the materials. And while very good for us, it also has the potential to dampen the industry if the materials aren't available. So bringing capital to companies that are developing these critical materials is a very important piece of the story. And I think it's bringing in what Canada does best. It's very exciting to see both critical mineral pure development like us, but also some of that money going into the battery supply chain. So actually trying to build not just, making minerals here in Canada and then shipping them overseas to get built into other products, but bringing the manufacturing and funding that in Canada. And you're seeing some of that happen as well with guys like POSCO, BASF, LG Chem, bringing battery manufacturing to Canada. So, and the $3.8 billion that was announced by the federal government spans all aspects from technology development, where E3 falls in, to the bigger picture where we're going to be in a year or two, which is the infrastructure side, funding the capital construction side of things.
How important is it to you, or how helpful is it to you that you've been at this a while? How long has E3 been around?
Well, actually, it's almost the end of May, and the end of May right now, and the end of May is our 5th year anniversary. So we're 5 years old as a public company. We started privately a year before that. So we've been doing this for 6 years. We've weathered a bear market, it was very hard to raise capital, which is what we do to keep the company funded through 2018 to 2020. Obviously now, with the advent of the electric vehicle coming to the forefront, all based now on the lithium-ion battery. And I think those two things, like you look around the landscape, every OEM, every major OEM anyway, has committed to electrifying its fleet, at least in part, if not in whole. So a lot of people 2 or 3 years ago were saying it, like in the space, in the critical mineral space, the analysts that follow it, you need to start investing in these projects, in these critical mineral projects. And now their voices are being heard loud and clear, because we are in that supply shortage. So the landscape has fundamentally changed over the last couple of years. E3, because we got through that, we put our heads down. We were developing new technology. That technology now is on the forefront of the industry for extracting lithium from brines. And it's garnering a lot of attention from our peers and from the industry at large in terms of its ability to go after a larger base of projects in the brine space. And I think that the combination of the two and E3's resource has now we're sitting here in the top 5 of our peers and going strong for lithium production here in Alberta.
Alrighty, so let's thank our sponsors. First up, we've got Edge Eyewear. Edge designs stylish, quality, and affordable safety eyewear that's as fit for the weekend as the workday. Edge safety glasses and sunglasses are ANSI or CSA compliant, come ready with modern technology, and are comfortable enough to offer all-day protection. And of course, they've been delivering a better safety glass since 1998. Visit edgeeyewear.com to learn more and save 20% with code CROWN20. Next up, we have L&H. L&H Industrial can custom engineer and build from the ground up any heavy equipment assembly or machine that you need for your operation. Their worldwide 24/7 field services network is on the job whenever you need heavy equipment troubleshooting, repairs, rebuilds, relocations, or replacements. And thanks to their specialized design and engineering and state-of-the-art manufacturing and repair services, they are the go-to international supplier for improved components and custom assemblies for heavy industrial machinery. Visit lnh.net to learn more. And of course, we also have Micromine. As your mining projects accelerate, so should your technology. Micromine is a leading software provider to the global mining industry with solutions that support the entire life cycle from early exploration to advanced mine operation. Micromine enables explorers to prospect smarter, model faster, and estimate with greater confidence. They empower mining engineers to optimize strategic mine planning, streamline design, and schedule faster. Micromine's technology supports even the largest mines to gain greater operational control and boost performance. And they provide mining teams with reliable data management solutions to enhance insights, meet compliance, and safeguard digital assets. To learn how Micromine's next generation technology can help you, visit their website at micromine.com today. We also have SolarSet. Introducing the SolarSet Fold, the new foldable frame solar system brings power to your residential and commercial property and can be shipped worldwide. Like all SolarSet products, the SolarSet Fold comes turnkey, pre-assembled, and is easily transported and installed. You can learn more about SolarSet Fold and their full line of amazing solar systems at solarset.com. And last but not least, we have Zero Nox. Zero Nox is the global leader in electric powertrain solutions, microgrids, and clean technology. They provide a platform for clean energy technology to come to market through powertrain solutions, development partnerships, and electrification kit solutions for conversions, all powered by Zero Nox. Their mission is to empower communities through sustainable innovation as they partner with some of the world's leading OEMs to solve challenges across multiple continents with cleaner and higher performing technology, empowering a clean, innovative, and higher performing future without compromise. Visit them at zeronox.com to learn more. Now let's get back to the interview.
Now, I mean, you're the expert in your field, so I hope this isn't sort of a mindless question, but how much of an advantage do you have though when you have been at it? I mean, you were on our show, I mean, almost 2 years ago, so you were already getting out there and sending out this message, and obviously working with investors, working with permitting, doing all that stuff. How far ahead are you now as opposed to someone who's, I mean, I'm sure there's lots of people now that are wanting to get into the lithium game because they see what's coming.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting to find ourselves in this position of being the mature company. So, you know, we're a bit of the poster child for lithium in Alberta and in Western Canada. We're the one that most people point to. New companies that have come on out of the woodwork in the past year. There's a lot of imitation to the, at marketing that we've done in terms of the story, telling the story. And I think that, that type of imitation, you could say, is the best form of flattery. What it's really showing is that we had a really good story back in 2017 when we started. We stuck to our guns. We developed the technology. We've been working on the resource, and now we're in a position where we're about to commercialize our technology with a demonstration pilot that's going to be operating at the end of this year or early next. But that technology can be used across Western Canada, in fact, across the globe, for lithium in brines, and we've tested it, in places from brines such as Argentina or the southern U.S., including Canada as well, and some of the other opportunities in and around us, and it works. And that validation has been huge for us because it means that we can not only develop what is our primary goal, which is a lithium project here in Alberta, we'd also help out our peers. And doing that, we would obviously make some revenue, passive revenue from that. So the business model here that E3 has developed is certainly going strong.
Is that a proprietary? I wanted to ask you about, so you're talking about the DLE technology, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Is that a proprietary technology for you?
Yeah, absolutely. We developed it in-house. It started out with a partnership with the University of Alberta, and we brought it in-house in 2018 and have been developing it since. So it is now fully owned by E3 Metals, and it's one of the two key pillars that we have is this technology that we've developed.
Can you talk to us a little bit, maybe more from a technical side, what the technology actually is?
So we fall under the umbrella of direct lithium extraction, but more specifically, what we've developed is ion exchange. And ion exchange has been used across the world for over 50 years to take metals out of water. So uranium treatment uses ion exchange, water softener in people's houses, ion exchange, water treatment in general uses ion exchange for all sorts of different applications to take all sorts of different metals out of water. So what we have developed is not new in the sense that the process around it is very commonplace, which is an advantage because we don't have to reinvent that wheel.
Right. Yeah.
But what we have invented is what we call a bead. It's basically the chemical. It's a solid chemical that sits in the system that extracts lithium specifically. So instead of taking calcium, if you have hard water, or uranium, if you're trying to treat uranium, we take lithium. So as we have basically a column, it's packed full of these little beads, and as the water flows through them, the lithium molecules in the water stick to them. And by the time the water reaches the bottom of the tank, there's no more lithium in it. And so then we just take that water, we put it directly back into the aquifer. Every so often, this material fills up with lithium. Another word for ion exchange is molecular sieving, so you're sieving it out, but it does fill up. So then you stop the flow of brine momentarily, and you flush off the lithium with a wash agent, and you create a concentrated solution of lithium. And so our solution is about 60-ish% lithium. And when you compare that to a concentrate that comes out of a hard rock mine, they're about 6% lithium.
Really?
So we're 10 times more concentrated in a very low energy step, which is just these passive ion exchange columns. So that's why our operating costs are so low. That's why we can go all the way to battery quality lithium products. We actually sell to the battery companies in the future because we have the purity. We can refine that into lithium hydroxide at the battery grade level so that we can sell it directly to the high price that's fetching, which is directly into batteries.
You mentioned the testing. Can you just circle back to that and talk a little bit more about the testing that's brought so that you could actually talk about the results?
Yeah, so last time we talked, we were just in the process of opening up a facility of our own in Calgary to develop this. And that facility over the past year and a half has built a prototype of the process that they're working on. They've also perfected the manufacturing of the material itself. And so all of that development work has been going on. We turned the prototype on in October of last year. It's been working very hard to optimize how this is going to look in a commercial environment. Now we just announced a couple of months ago 2 big things. One is that we've hired an engineering company to design the pilot. So very important for us that gets started so we can roll it out. We can get it constructed and roll it out. But the other, and in my mind, more important thing is that we've gone to third-party companies that manufacture the material that we need, similar to material to what we use. But obviously, we're giving them our recipe to manufacture the material for us. And they are companies that make this material commercially. So what that enables us to do is make large amounts, like 1 ton an hour sort of rates of our proprietary material. And from our perspective, that's commercial. When we can do that, and we're working on that right now, that part of the process is commercial. And the pilot that we're looking at building is going to be a scaled down commercial unit as well. So from our perspective, when those 2 roll out into the field, we're testing a commercialable system. And I think it's incredibly important for us. So testing has come a long way. The development has come a long way. And we're just about to do that commercial prove out with this pilot probably late this year or early 2023.
Didn't in regards to the pilots, Alberta Innovates, there was some grants provided from them as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So Alberta Innovates gave us recently, about a year ago, 1.8 million on top of 200,000 that we'd got previously. So we're funded to $2 million from Alberta Innovates. But that and that's been very supportive. We've been very well supported by Alberta Innovates. They love this project. That's funding the pilot plant itself. So we've achieved two of the physical plant. So
yeah,
2 of the 3 milestones have been achieved, and the third one is the plant rolling out the door. And so they're still actively funding that development.
When you're trying to build something like this, I mean, what is the main challenge making it efficient? Is it the funding? Is it timelines? What steps do you have to go to actually get a pilot plant like this out the door?
Yeah, I mean, it's a balance between right now for us, it's a balance between timing and checking off all of the right boxes to make sure we do this methodically. We want it to work when it goes out, and it's an optimization process. So we run the prototype time and time again to make sure we've got the operating parameters down. That leads to the effective design of the pilot itself. So that work has been ongoing. It's very important, and it's a race against time in a way, because the industry is screaming for the product, and we want to be there to deliver to it. And that means we need to get this pilot out the door so we can design a commercial facility. So we're really well funded right now. So the money doesn't really come into play. We have enough capital in the bank right now to do the pilot. So we're not too capital constrained.
Does it feel, I mean, how different is it from 2 years ago? Was it, I mean, this is from the outside looking in, so clarify if I'm wrong, but if it seems like a couple years ago, an operation like yours would be sort of fighting against the current, trying to convince people, but now all of a sudden the industry is trying, does it kind of feel like you're swimming downstream now, just because of the environment, how it's changed?
It's a paradigm shift. Like we, really started in September, October 2020. The tailwind, as you were, for the industry itself, and then we got our preliminary economic assessment out at the end of 2020, which really solidified that this project that we have, that 75 milligrams per liter, has a very high value, and it's that PA outline of $1.1 billion US at $14,000 per ton cost for lithium. Now it's trading $70,000 per ton. So the value is ever increasing, but we hit a turning point at that point at the end of 2020, the market moving, our project sort of being matured into that realm. We were able to raise a lot of capital right then. We put $14 million in the bank in that time period. And now it's just been heads down getting this done. And it's really nice because with the need for critical minerals, with government support for the industry, with the EVs coming out, a lot of companies, a lot of countries talking about this, supporting this. It's really, for us, it is like swimming downstream for sure. I think your analogy is right. We definitely have a lot easier time having conversations when we're here at an investment conference. We're not talking to people about what lithium is or how it's going to work. We're talking to them about how advanced we are, and honestly, we get a lot of attention because we've proven ourselves. We've been through the bear market. We survived because we have a really great project. We have really great technology, and now we're at the forefront of the industry for our space. So it's very exciting time for us to be here.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting to me because a couple of years ago, I mean, a lot of companies at your state, they weren't coming on our show. We're the whole supply chain of mining. And so you were on 2 years ago, so now you're coming back on. It's like it's a different ball game. And just even back then, though, talking to you, and you get a chance to talk to people off camera and stuff a little bit too. I thought, like, this company is actually, this one is going to be the one around, but you still don't have control over what governments do and all that. So it's really just nice to see it, that a company that's been on a couple of years ago comes back and it's, now it's actually changed in their favor. I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of what it's going to mean for you with all this manufacturing. I was doing an episode about a week ago, and we were looking at some of like GE and Tesla and all these companies that are now investing in this. I mean, billions and billions. I mean, you know more than me about it. Just billions of dollars into it. And I think one I found is Stellantis, 3.6 billion in funding to increase production of electric vehicles.
Yeah.
Those kind of investments by a company like them, what does that mean? Does that have a direct impact on one, expediting you getting into production, or will it be those potential direct customers? Sort of, what does that mean for you?
Well, I think, the biggest thing that these types of announcements do, and they've really solidified that the EV is going to be here as a dominant vehicle in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't switch overnight. It's a gradual process. As people buy new cars, they buy more EVs, the percentage of sales go up, and eventually you're selling all EVs. It doesn't mean that you only have EVs on the road at that point in time. But Stellantis is a small investment relative to Volkswagen.
Right.
You saw Ford announce that they have two divisions now. They have their base ICE division, and then they have an entirely new EV division. And I think that's a smart move. ICEs are not going away anytime soon. And as EVs in the sort of the general mass market become more prevalent, like the commuter cars and the family vehicles and that sort of thing, ICEs will become a specialty product. So like a work truck where you need to be out in the field and you need something that is reliable for long distances. A diesel truck will probably be something that people will buy for some time.
Mm-hmm.
But the commuter car will be something that people won't buy gas powered in the nearer term. And so I think Ford's decision to divide the two and approach them separately is a good one. GM is all in. Obviously, Tesla's fully electric. All of the sports cars, you're starting to see hybrid. You're starting to see electric versions of these big, the low production number, but very famous brands making all electric sports cars. And at the end of the day, they are better vehicles. And with the rise of the price of gasoline these days, I was just talking to someone here at the conference who've been trying to get an EV for the past year and can't get one. They're just not available because they're not making enough of them, and they're on a wait list, and they hope to get one next year. And that's a common story. So, there is going to be more and more of them available. And for us, how the trickle down effect to us is that, these companies are very smart. They do their numbers. They understand the analytics, and they understand what that means in terms of batteries in their cars. And then they understand what that means in terms of raw materials. And there's a deficit. There's a deficit mainly in the raw materials, also in the batteries. But the battery factories, the big challenge here is the battery factories take, average about 2 years to go from breaking ground to a battery factory running.
Mm-hmm.
The average time for a mine development is 10 years. So there's just this disconnect there. And so every project that's out there needs to get on stream. And lithium's special in the sense that it's in every battery, regardless of the chemistry. So every battery uses around 10% plus minus lithium. And the other side of that is that all of the new production has to be brought on from new. Whereas the other industries, pieces of the production can be stolen from a lot larger market, like nickel has a huge market, and EVs is a smaller portion of that. But over 90% of the lithium in the world by 2030 will be consumed into batteries. And so companies like us need to get their production on stream. And the big OEMs, the government, the battery manufacturers, they all know this. Mm-hmm. And so they are out there right now looking to support companies. So that type of funding, those strategic partnerships that get formed with that become very important for companies like us to do the hardest thing, which is the first gram of lithium. For us, it's gonna be the hardest. After that, it's gonna be a lot easier to make more and more and more. Again, the first little bit out.
I wanted to go back to the net zero side of things.
Yep.
The technology, the DLE technology. You said about the water, and I'm sorry to butcher it after you just explained it, but you said about the water. It sounded like you were saying that the water could be reused or put back. Can you clarify that? Is that a fairly green technology, or will it be? Are you developing the green side of it? Can you touch on that side of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two pieces. One is the fact that we're in Alberta, and I'll touch on that in a sec. But in terms of ESG and the especially the environmental side of ESG, 99.999% of the brine we take out of the aquifer is put back down into the same aquifer.
Hmm.
So we don't have surface evaporation ponds, and that's a critical distinguisher between us and how traditional brine projects extract lithium. And what that means is that we look better than any other project on the planet that's doing evaporation ponds, simply because we don't have this huge land disturbance. We also don't interact with the freshwater aquifer because everything's in a closed loop system. And if you look around the world at where brine projects have run and hard rock projects have run into opposition from the local people, it's around water use or water disturbance, and we don't have any. So those two things combined with our goal to go to carbon neutrality will set us apart from our peers in terms of the E side of ESG. And when you look at where we are in the world, I think that's where the social and governance comes into play. Being in Alberta, we operate just like oil and gas. So the social license that has been well established through the oil and gas world, we deploy directly to our project. And that is going to be huge because the locals rely on this ecosystem of development for the oil and gas industry, and we feed right into that ecosystem. We put people to work. Everyone we need to build this project is local to Alberta. All the welders, the drillers, the professionals in the office, everyone we need is here. And so we have a strong social license. We have a very secure jurisdiction. We're one of the most secure sources of lithium on the planet when you look at where else it's produced, especially when you look at where the battery grade products are produced. So, across the board, I think E3 being in Alberta, using a direct lithium extraction process does set us apart for sure on the ESG front.
I guess that right from the beginning, though, again, going back to 5-6 years ago, you had that right off the bat. You had, well, not the political support, the lack of political interference maybe would be a better word. Now I think other provinces and that are still going to get on board, but they've kind of got to untangle everything that's gone on before, which you don't really have that challenge. I never have.
No, exactly. And, the Alberta government, they have been very supportive. The premier tweets about our project. We end up being a bit of the poster child because we're the most advanced project. And Alberta's critical minerals, like it really is lithium. We have a couple of little things, but in terms of volume, lithium is it. And so we're used as an example for the government to demonstrate that Alberta can participate in the critical mineral supply chain. And I think that's great. I mean, in December, we saw the Alberta Energy Minister put a Bill 82 to the floor at the Legislative Assembly, which gave regulatory authority for lithium or minerals from brines to the Alberta Energy Regulator, who regulates oil and gas. And that has been fundamental to us because they are the right group to regulate lithium, because we do everything just like an oil and gas company does.
Right.
Although we produce lithium, oil and gas companies today produce brine, and that brine comes to surface, and then they have to deal with it, and they generally put it back into the aquifer. So that part of the process is already well regulated through the Alberta Energy Regulator. So we're very excited to see that. We're currently in the process of working through licenses for the first ever Alberta lithium wells are about to be drilled, we hope in June, which is coming up very quickly of this year. So, and that's all based on this new regulatory regime that's come in place. So, and then the next is the pilot plant. Obviously, we need a permit to operate that, and we're working through that with the Alberta Energy Regulator as well. So, it's a really good time. We are, cutting first cut here at this, so it does take a bit longer. But the benefit is that we're paving a very clear path with a very engaged regulator who wants to clear that path for us. So it's been very exciting.
I want to wrap up with the one last question, sort of on a professional and personal note.
Sure.
In our business, a few years ago, just getting someone on the show, that was a challenge. Now we're, you do 20 episodes in a month, something like that. You build but what I found is that all of a sudden you have to keep changing the way that you approach things, because all of a sudden you're not sort of begging people to come on. Now it's about facilitating, making it comfortable, making sure that they come back, making sure you have a team in place that can service it. So what your job actually is as you're growing, especially when you start something, it's always evolving.
Yeah.
What is it like for you that now, 6 years ago, you're trying to get people to talk about lithium? then you're trying to test, now you're trying to test the technology, now you're trying to get it, and you're sort of changing. I would assume there's been different team members that have had to be brought on. What have you sort of, just on a professional management front, what have you sort of had to adapt over these years, especially now with it being such a drastic shift in the way that lithium is being focused on?
Yeah, I mean, for me, my job, what I do at the company has drastically changed in the last 2 years. So up until 2020, I was the project manager for the direct lithium extraction development, and we had technical experts that I was managing, but I was also the CEO. I also did all the marketing. I did a lot of the IR. And now with the pace at which we're going, and having now 24 people and growing that team, that culture, my job is completely different. Now I have professionals who are managing the technical development of our DLE process, our ion exchange process. I have technical, like I'm a geologist. I started this company because I understood intimately the aquifer, but now we have people who are much more highly skilled and knowledgeable than me doing that job for me. So now my job is really to sit back and look at the direction the company is going and spend my time making sure that the strategy that we're putting in place, the opportunities that we have in front of us are the right ones for E3. So, and so I spend a lot more of my time looking at what's in front of us. Where are we going? What the industry is doing? Things like licensing our technology. Should we do that? If we do,
Right.
how do we manage that piece? How do we approach that licensing opportunity? How we develop a facility? How we stagger the development from 20,000 to get to our goal of 150,000? These are decisions that need to be made in the next year or two, but I'm looking at them now because we need to be ready. We need to plan for them. So yeah, I feel what you're saying. I mean, a lot of what I do now is completely different, but exciting. Like this is where I want to be. I want to be here, developing strategy and take my fingers off of the day-to-day work for sure.
Well, and just, to wrap up, I have to say it's very exciting. It's, I said it earlier, it's one thing to have someone come on once and they talk about their company and you hope it went well and everything like that. It's a whole other thing when a company like yours is coming back, you're still getting the message out, you're talking, but now the province, the country, the politicians, even social licensing, you're getting all of those things behind you, and I think it's well deserved. So thanks a lot for coming on back on the show, Chris, and I hope this isn't the last time. I certainly don't.
No, I think next time we'll be talking about our future plans to build a plant. So we're moving quickly, and I'm very excited that we got the chance to come back and talk to you at this point in time in the company.
Thank you, Chris.
Excellent.
Okay, everybody, thank you for watching. We'll put plenty of links to E3 Metals. They've got a lot. I think this is the start of the story for them in a lot of ways, and in a lot of ways the start of the story for Canada on the lithium front. So please keep following it, and suggest guests to us if you want us to connect you with Chris, or we'll put links to their LinkedIn so you can follow them along with them and everything like that. Thank you for watching. Please keep commenting, subscribing, sharing. It all helps get the message out to support the energy sector. Thank you for watching. See you on the next episode of Building Energy.